Well, Oblique Seville was almost left standing in his blocks. Excellent work by Noah Lyles.
Have you ever seen a sprinter start slow, yet recover so fiercely everyone wonders what was really behind that stumble? Oblique Seville's run in Tokyo didn't just raise questions about speed, it exposed something deeper. Today we peel back the layers because what looked like just another qualifying heat might turn into one of the most telling moments of his career. Number 1, what happened in Tokyo Heat 1?
Did you by chance see Oblique Seville with the slow reaction time in Heat 1?
Yeah, I knew that was going to happen. That man was panicking in the back.
The stadium in Tokyo was silent for just a moment, the hush before the storm. Oblique Seville stepped into the blocks, Jamaica's next great sprinter, carrying the weight of a nation's expectations. Everyone knew his name. Everyone expected fireworks. But when the gun fired, the explosion we all anticipated didn't quite happen.
A pretty slow start, unlike you. What happened there in the back?
Things happen, but everything is going to be fine in the semi-finals.
Instead, Seville's reaction was sluggish, clocking in at about 0.286 seconds, the slowest of the field. For context, in the 100-meter dash, that's like showing up to a job interview wearing pajamas. You can recover, sure, but you've already left an impression. For an instant, it looked like disaster. Seville stumbled out of the gate, stuck behind the pack like a car that forgot to shift gears.
And Seville has left this unbelievably late. 9.87. Noah Lyles has just...
Gift Leotlela and Kyansola Ajayi were flying, running the races of their lives, dropping times of 9.87 and 9.88, personal bests that had the crowd gasping. And there was Seville, boxed in, looking less like Jamaica's hope and more like someone caught in a bad dream. But here's the twist. He didn't fold.
It's just for me to prove myself one day, and this is the moment, and this right here, I start my debut in Japan.
He clawed his way back, step by step, stride by stride, pushing past that shaky start. Against the odds, he crossed the line in 9.93 seconds, securing third place and a ticket to the semifinals. Now here's where the story gets fascinating. On paper, 9.93 is world class. But in sprinting, context is everything.
The least confident man in the rounds, but confident after the semis, Oblique Seville.
For Seville, this wasn't just a number, it was a statement, and not necessarily the one he wanted to make. Because while the scoreboard said he advanced, the whispers in the crowd said something else. What happened out there? Was it nerves? Was it overthinking the start? Or was it something bigger? Something even he hasn't fully admitted? The heat wasn't just about qualifying. It was a psychological chess match, and Seville's slow start gave everyone, from fans to rivals, something to dissect. Because if you think his competitors didn't notice, think again. One of them even spoke up about it later, throwing shade in a way only track stars can. But we'll get to that in a moment. The truth is, Heat 1 was more than just a race. It was the opening chapter of a drama that's still unfolding. Seville may have crossed the line with a smile, but behind it lay questions. Questions that don't go away after 9.93 seconds. Because if you're being hyped as the next great Jamaican sprinter, every stumble, every hesitation gets magnified under the spotlight. And here's the kicker. What happened after that heat may be even more shocking than the race itself. A comment, a revelation, and a glimpse into the mental battlefield that could decide everything. But we'll save that for the next part. Number 2, the dig from Noah Lyles. Now let's be honest. If sprinting were just about the stopwatch, it would be a boring sport. But the real show, that happens in the interviews. The subtle shade, the one-liners that sting harder than lactic acid in the final 20 meters. And in Tokyo, after Heat 1, no one delivered that better than Noah Lyles. Lyles had just won his own heat in 9.95 seconds. Not mind-blowing, but efficient, smooth, and enough to send a clear message. He was in control. But instead of basking in his own performance, his attention zeroed in on someone else, Oblique Seville. With the kind of smirk only a reigning world champion can get away with, he dropped a line that instantly lit up social media. That man was panicking in the back. And just like that, the Tokyo World Championships turned into something bigger than times and lanes. This wasn't just sprinting, it was psychology, it was theater, it was high-stakes reality TV disguised as a track and field. Think about what Lyles really did here. He didn't just point out Seville's slow start. Everyone saw that. He framed it. He put a label on it, panic. And once you attach that word to an athlete, it follows them around like a shadow. Suddenly, Seville's 9.93 wasn't about resilience. It was about damage control. Was he really panicking? Was he losing composure under the lights? Or was Lyles just playing mind games, planting doubt in the heads of his rivals and maybe even in Seville himself? This is where track fans lean forward, because sprinting isn't only about who runs the fastest, it's about who handles the pressure cooker of expectation. And Lyles, he's a master at controlling narratives. He knows that sometimes the real race begins before the gunfires and the interviews, the headlines, the tweets. But here's the irony. Lyles' comment might have backfired. Instead of burying Seville, it put an even brighter spotlight on him. Fans started asking, if Seville can run 9.93 with the slowest reaction time in the field, what happens when he nails the start? Could Lyles have accidentally hyped up his own rival? And that's the beauty of this rivalry. It's unpredictable. It's two men not just racing, but writing chapters of a story that keeps twisting. And while Lyles might have stolen the microphone in that moment, Seville had his own answer waiting. Not in trash talk, but in something far more personal. Because what Seville revealed next, it wasn't just about sprinting, it cracked the door open into his life off the track. And trust me, that revelation changed everything. Number 3, Seville's reveal, personal issues and recovery mindset. When an athlete stumbles on the world stage, most of them do the same thing. They smile for the cameras, give a safe line about staying focused, and move on. But Oblique Seville didn't take the easy way out. After that rocky heat and after Noah Lyles' jab, Seville opened up just enough to spark curiosity and leave everyone wanting more. In the post-race interview zone, Seville looked calm, almost too calm, like a man who had just walked through fire and still managed to keep his clothes clean. But then, he admitted something no one expected. He's been dealing with personal issues. He didn't specify what, and that silence was louder than any detail could have been. Because when an athlete at the top of their game admits they're battling something behind the scenes, fans lean in closer. What's going on? Is it mental strain? Family matters? The pressure of being Jamaica's next great sprinter? Suddenly, the conversation wasn't just about a slow start. It was about what was weighing on him off the track. But here's the part that made Seville's words even more intriguing. Instead of sounding defeated, he doubled down on resilience. He reminded everyone that he's been in this position before. He's had races where the start betrayed him, where the crowd thought it was over before it began. And yet, he's made a habit of clawing back, of flipping the script when others already counted him out. "I know what to do," he said with the kind of quiet confidence that makes you wonder if he's already planning his revenge run in the semifinals. And that's the paradox of Seville. He admits to cracks in the armor, but somehow those cracks make the armor look even stronger. Because what's scarier than a sprinter who runs fast? A sprinter who can trip, stumble, deal with personal storms, and still cross the line at 9.93. That's not just talent, that's grit. But here's where the roller coaster dips again. While Seville kept his composure, that mystery of personal issues lingers like a cliffhanger. Will it fuel him? Or will it haunt him when the stakes climb higher in the semifinals and finals? And if you think Noah Lyles was finished talking about Seville, you'd be wrong. Because while Seville was keeping his answers vague but confident, Lyles was preparing to turn the pressure dial even higher. And this time, he wasn't the only one throwing shade. Number 4, context, Seville versus Lyles rivalry, and expectations. To really understand why this 9.93 mattered, you have to zoom out. Because this wasn't just a heat, and it wasn't just another day at the track. This was the next chapter in one of sprinting's most intriguing rivalries, Oblique Seville versus Noah Lyles. Let's rewind. Seville isn't just some up-and-comer. He's already proven he can beat the best. Last season, he humbled Lyles at the Diamond League in both London and Lausanne, and then again at the Racers Grand Prix. Each time Seville didn't just win races, he chipped away at the myth of Noah's untouchability. Suddenly, fans weren't just asking, can Seville medal? They were asking, is this the man who can take down the reigning king of sprinting? And when Usain Bolt himself starts pointing at you as one of Jamaica's great hopes for the future, the expectations don't just rise, they skyrocket. That's what made Heat 1 so puzzling. Because here's a man, endorsed by the fastest human in history, coming off a season of giant-killing performances, and he's suddenly playing catch-up in a preliminary round. It's like Batman forgetting where he parked the Batmobile. Sure, he'll find it eventually, but the rest of us are left scratching our heads. Meanwhile, Lyles came into Tokyo, carrying his own baggage. He had a late start to the season, dealing with injuries, doubters, and the heavy crown of being the defending world champion. Yet in his heat, he looked unbothered, smooth and confident enough to crack a joke at Seville's expense. The contrast was striking. One man visibly shaking off rust, the other man giving off swagger like it was cologne. And that's where the tension thickens. Because Seville isn't just fighting Lyles on the track. He's fighting the weight of Jamaican sprinting history, the echoes of Bolt, Blake, and Powell. He's fighting headlines that don't forgive bad starts, and fans who want fireworks every single time. That's the brutal beauty of sprinting. One stumble, one hesitation, and the narrative shifts instantly. But here's the twist. You don't win championships in the heats. You set the stage. And while Lyles may have scored the first psychological blow, Seville still has the chance to flip the narrative in the semifinals and finals. Will he rise to the pressure, proving Bolt right and silencing the whispers? Or will this rivalry tilt further in Lyles' favor, creating another mental scar Seville has to carry? Because remember, rivalries don't end with one race. They build, they fester, they explode when the stakes are highest. And the semifinals? That's where the mind games meet the stopwatch. Number 5, the technical breakdown, reaction time, and strategy. Now, let's pull back the curtain on the real culprit of Seville's shaky heat, the start. Because in the 100 meters, the first 30 steps aren't just important, they're life or death for your medal hopes. And in Tokyo, Seville's start looked, well, let's just say it looked like he hit snooze on the alarm clock. His reaction time was 0.286 seconds, the slowest in the field. For context, elite sprinters usually live around 0.130 to 0.150. Anything slower, and you're basically giving away free meters. Think about it this way. In the blink of an eye, Seville spotted every other runner a head start. Imagine showing up late to a party, but everyone else already grabbed the best seats and snacks. That's the disadvantage he created for himself in Heat 1. And yet, he still ran 9.93. That's what makes this both terrifying and fascinating. If he can drop a sub-10 with a reaction time that slow, what happens when he nails the launch? Fans are already doing the math in their heads, but here's where it gets tricky. Starting isn't just about muscles, it's about psychology. Sprinters train endlessly to perfect their block work. Too fast and you false start, too slow and you're buried. It's a razor's edge of focus, timing, and trust. And when Noah Lyles accused Seville of panicking, he wasn't just making fun of him. He was pointing at a real weakness. If Seville's mind is even half a beat behind the gun, it can unravel the whole race. Still, Seville isn't new to this dance. He's built a reputation as a closer, the kind of runner who can hunt people down in the last 40 meters. That strength saved him in the heat, but here's the mystery. Can it save him when the stakes rise? Because in the semifinals, you're no longer running against also-rans. You're racing against killers, men who won't let you back into the race once you're behind. The numbers don't lie. Seville has the speed to win it all. But the question is whether he has the start to match the finish. Can he steady his nerves, sharpen his reflexes, and silence the chatter? Or will the pattern repeat, turning just a heat into a foreshadowing of heartbreak? And here's where the story flips again, because while analysts break down milliseconds and biomechanics, Seville himself wasn't talking about numbers. What he said after? It was about something far more human, something that could either break him or fuel the run of his life. Number 6, what it means for semifinals and the bigger picture. Advancing to the semifinals may sound routine. It's what the favorites are supposed to do. But when Oblique Seville stepped off the track after that 9.93, it wasn't just about moving forward, it was about survival. Because now, every weakness, every stumble, every hesitation becomes magnified under the bright lights of the World Championships. And in sprinting, the semis aren't just another round. They're the real test. It's where the pretenders get filtered out and only the absolute killers make it through to the medal stage. Here's the reality. A shaky start might pass in the heats, but in the semifinals, that can end your tournament in 10 seconds flat. The men Seville will line up against aren't tourists. They're world leaders, Olympic finalists, national champions. They're the ones who don't give you second chances. One mistake, one late reaction, and it's over. No redemption arc, no miraculous comeback, just an early flight home. And yet, this is exactly why Seville's story is so compelling. Because he's not just running against a field, he's running against perception, against Noah Lyles' comment about panic, against whispers that maybe he's too fragile for the biggest moments, against his own admission of personal issues. It's not just a race anymore. It's a battle to prove that his mind is as fast as his legs. Here's the twist, though. Sometimes pressure creates diamonds. Think about it. Seville ran 9.93 with the worst reaction time in the entire field. That means there's still gas in the tank, still another level waiting to be unlocked. If he steadies himself, if he nails that start even once, we could be looking at a time that shocks the world. And that's the paradox. His weakness might also be the very thing that sets up his greatest comeback. The semifinals are the ultimate stage for redemption. It's the point where the critics sharpen their knives, but also where heroes are born. Will Seville rise above the chatter, flipping panic into poise? Or will the moment swallow him, confirming every doubt his rivals have been whispering? And that's the beauty and cruelty of sprinting. In a sport where everything can be decided in less time than it takes to sneeze, one man's destiny can change forever. The only certainty is this. The semifinals won't just test Seville's speed, they'll test his soul. Because what comes next? It isn't just about qualifying, it's about legacy. He could run 9.80 seconds in the final and still be haunted by the panic comment. But what if that slow start was a setup? Inadvertent maybe, but powerful. This heat in Tokyo exposed cracks, or opened a chance for redemption. So what do you think? Did Lyles just get in Seville's head, or did the jacket fit? Comment below if you believe Seville bounces back, or if this moment defines the pressure that comes with being a favorite. And as always, keep watching, because the real story starts when the stakes are highest.